Welcome, College of Eastern Idaho students, staff, and faculty and community members to Falcon Features with Lori and Mike and Lori. Today, it's just Falcon Features with Mike because Lori is not here, but I will have a special guest with me later in the broadcast, Jodene Trimble, who is our Nursing Administrator. So we will enjoy to speak with Jodene in just a minute. I have some updates. I'll try to make them fun and interesting as they're being done by myself. Yeah, so we'll go from there. I also want to mention that we are not broadcasting on Facebook. We will rebroadcast to Facebook. There's some connectivity issues that are happening with the site itself and other streaming sites that we learned about a half hour ago. So it will be broadcast on YouTube and then reposted to our Facebook page. Still feel free to ask or put any questions or put comments in the banner, and that's totally fine. So first, we have some financial aid updates. The new FAFSA is open October 1st. That was 3 days ago for fall 22 and spring 23 school year. So it's way ahead. So you can use your 2020 federal tax return for that application. You can get your application in early. And so again, 2020 tax returns. That doesn't mean you can't do the other applications for this coming spring as well. Last day to add or drop classes for Block B, late 8-week classes. That October 22nd is for that. Last day to add or drop, last day to add or drop classes for Block B, late 8-week is October 22nd. The fee deadline for Block B classes is October 14th at 4:30 p.m. E-refunds are available. Sign up for direct deposit and self-service. And we also still have work study positions available and open. They start at $10.50 per hour. The hours range from 10 to 19 hours per week, and they're flexible with class schedules. Please contact financial aid to apply or for any questions. Monday, October 11th is Columbus Day, so study students will not work on that day as it's a federal holiday. The last day withdrawal from full-term 16-week classes is November 1st. Withdrawing from a class or a few classes can affect your satisfactory academic progress, so be sure to check with financial aid before you drop classes to see how you'll be affected by that. Withdrawing from all classes will cause a payback to your financial aid. Please contact the FA to discuss your options and potential payback. And then any scholarship information you have, please call 208-524-3000 extension 7 or go to the foundation financial aid office or foundation office. So that number is on the screen. COVID-19, just to remind you, we still have our COVID-19 information website. That's where to go if you have COVID-19 information questions. And then if you want to ask a question, you can email covid@cei.edu. I want to stress students also, if a contact tracer reaches out to you via email, you do need to contact them. So please check your CEI email every weekday and the following Monday on the weekend, or even more often, but at least every 24 hours during the week. If you are a student with a disability or think you may have a disability or find yourself struggling with classes, the Disability Resource Center is available to help. Whether you're renewing existing accommodations or you need to set up an intake interview, staff members are available to meet with you virtually or in person. Please reach out to the Disability Resource Center at 208-535-5462 or disability.resources@cei.edu. Again, those numbers are on the screen. They're located in room 591 in building 5. The Center for New Directions has a ton of services and resources for students. Did you know that? Campus food pantry is available by appointment with regular hours coming soon. They have pantry staples to take home, but also grab and go snacks while you're on campus. They do have a few drop-by hours that are listed on their door. Career services include resume reviews, career exploration, and mock interviews. Those are available. Are you struggling a bit with your current caseload or class load? They have resources and study strategy skills to help with that, and some information that can help with that as well. Do you need childcare assistance to attend school? They have a childcare grant. They actually have 2 childcare grants. Are you signed up for a class for Block B but still need a textbook? The Center for New Directions has a textbook lending library available. That's a good reminder to also put in a plug that there's still room left in Block B classes, which start on the 18th of this month. Again, all of those resources that we talked about, they are available and more. Call the Center for New Directions at 535-5363 or stop by their office in Building 5, room 591. And again, I want to stress there's still space if you want to take a class for Block B. They start October 18th. Okay, I want to talk really quickly about Narcan. So Narcan is an antidote for if somebody has an opioid addiction. And so this is a Narcan injector. It looks like a nasal spray. You just stick it in your nose and push the button. This is a demo version. But Narcan, basically, if somebody is having an opioid addiction, you can administer this after you call 911 to make sure that they don't overdose. And so why am I telling you about that? Well, right outside of our building, in our buildings, right next to our AED devices, we will be installing this next couple of weeks these overdose rescue kits. And they have this blue thing that just pops right off. I'll even demonstrate it. It's really easy. You just pop it off. Just pops right off. And then you can open up the overdose kit. And then you have the Narcan spray that I showed you that looks just like this. And they will be in our in all of our buildings, and security will have some, as well as the counseling center and my office. So if somebody is having an overdose crisis, you can call 911, and then this can be administered by anyone. All the laws protect people on that. Okay, so those are all of my announcements. Now I'd like to bring in our wonderful guest who has kindly agreed to speak with us today. Her name is Jodene Trimble. She's our nursing administrator. And Jodene has worked for the college for several years, and she has been a nurse for several years. So I'm really excited to be meeting today with Jodene Trimble. Hi, Jodene.
Hi, how are you, Mike?
I'm well.
Good.
So I have a list of questions here. So I'm going to start with the first one. It's a real doozy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to teach at CEI.
Okay. Well, like you said, I am the director of the nursing program here at CEI, or the Nursing Administrator Chair. I have 4 awesome children and an amazing husband. My husband and I have been married for about 21 years, and I've been a nurse for about 19 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So coming to CEI, I don't know, that was kind of, I didn't know it was going to be on my career path, but I'm so glad that I did. In nursing, you have lots of options to work with the same degree in lots of different facets. And so an opportunity arose for me to start teaching. My husband works shift work and I was working shift work. And as our kids were getting a little bit older and we were pretending like holidays were different days so that we could celebrate them together as a family, we decided they were getting too smart to continue on with that process. And so I started looking at other options, things that might be more conducive with my family that was growing, and had the opportunity to apply for a position to teach maternal child nursing. It was kind of interesting because they told me the position wasn't going to be available for a year. And then the night before they interviewed me, they called me and they said, just kidding, we're actually going to be hiring for this position. Can you come in tomorrow for an interview? Which I did. And then it started like on Monday. So this was like a Friday. And then this position started on Monday. So it was kind of an interesting way around getting here to CEI and landing here. But I'm so glad that I did land here at CEI.
Well, that's funny. That's actually how I started in teaching as well, not at CEI, but at another institution. I found out that it was going to happen right away when I was first planned for a few semesters later. So sometimes that happens in higher ed.
Yeah.
So when did you know that you first wanted to be a nurse?
Oh, I don't know that there was ever like this aha moment that I was for sure going to be a nurse. I think it was one of those things. I grew up, both my parents are nurses. I have a lot of family members that are in medicine, whether they're nurses or doctors. Seems like they're nurses, doctors, educators, or engineers. So that's kind of my pool. And so it was kind of
very successful family.
Right. So it was kind of one of those things that I kind of felt like that's what everybody expected me to do. So I applied to the nursing program. I was accepted. And then I decided to be a little rebellious. I didn't want to do what everybody thought that I should do. And so my rebellion was to go into ed. So I dropped the program and started out in elementary education. And while I was in elementary education, I knew that I was really supposed to be doing nursing. And I went to the director of the program and I begged him to allow me to come and start in the fall like I originally was supposed to. But they'd filled my spot. And this was 2 weeks before the semester started. I was getting married the next week. And the night before my wedding, I got a phone call from the director of the program, and he said he had a slot for me. So it meant my poor husband on our honeymoon, I was doing homework because we had we don't make our students do this, but we had a ton of homework that we had to do prior to starting the program. So anyway, so yeah, it was something I think I kind of always knew that I should do, and then kind of fought it a little bit, but I've never regretted it. So.
Oh, well, that's great. Well, you're such a natural. That's really interesting. Um, so when you worked as a nurse, what were the most rewarding aspects of the job? Now, you're still working as a nurse. You're just a nurse administrator and a teacher. But when you worked full-time as a nurse?
On the floor at the hospitals, right? Or in clinics.
Yeah.
The most rewarding aspects of my job, I think, so my background is pediatrics and NICU. I did a little bit on the med-surg unit. But I loved, especially in the NICU, seeing these babies that wouldn't survive otherwise, and then being able to see them come back, or like as we discharge them, but then come back for like NICU reunions or different things like that, and seeing them hit all of these developmental milestones and be successful, that was really, really rewarding. So seeing patients, whether, again, even on the med-surg floor, patients that had some rough diagnoses, work through those and come out better than what they were, that is super rewarding. And being able to help people to get there. It wasn't just about the patient, it's the patient and it's the family and it's,
right.
It's that whole piece. And so I can't think of another career that has been more rewarding than nursing.
Oh, that's wonderful. What made you want to become a teacher of nurses instead of a nurse?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you kind of addressed that a little bit in your intro.
Yeah. Well, and a little bit. So my mom, she teaches nursing as well. And she worked at the hospital while she was teaching nursing for a long, long time. It's only been in the last, 10 years or so that she's quit bedside nursing and is just fully teaching. But I don't know. I watched that. I love the education piece at the hospital as well. Because every patient, every family member, there's constant education that's going on. I was very surprised, even with having a mom that was a nurse educator, at the change, like what a big shift it was. It did throw me for a loop. I wondered if I'd made the right decision at first, but after a couple semesters, I'm glad that this is where I'm at. So.
Okay, I'm going to combine the next two. So what are the most rewarding aspects of teaching and what are the most challenging aspects of teaching?
Okay. Most rewarding aspects of teaching, I think, again, it's seeing these students that come in that maybe they can't see their potential. They can't see where they can be. And while I push them and encourage them to be higher and reach higher than they thought that they could, it's pretty rewarding to see that change. We'll start in the beginning of the semester and to the end of the semester. And I love watching that transformation, and I love seeing their confidence and their ability to go out and practice. And that's probably the most challenging piece too, because I do expect a lot from my students. I push them to be better than they think that they can be, because I know that they can be. Sure. And sometimes you get a lot of pushback when that happens, because growing pains are rough. They are super tough. So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And then, this whole pandemic, that's been a huge challenge in and of itself as well, with nursing education. So.
I bet the pandemic has brought some interesting specific challenges. I'm going to go off script. What do you think that you can share with the group? Because there's probably some things you can't.
Yeah.
But from the challenges that you've experienced in 2020 and 2021, what has been the most surprising or interesting or something that you'd want to share with a larger audience?
Yeah, I don't know. Most surprising or interesting. There have been a lot of challenges. One of the big things that came was, how are we going to get these students through clinical? There is a huge need for nurses in the community, and we can't afford to stop our program and not continue to get these nurses through, because we can't get them through fast enough. And so I think that was super scary as this hit and our school got shut down in March. How are we going to do this? We still have clinical hours. The State Board of Nursing was awesome. They kind of rallied together. They allowed for us to count some of our simulation more fully towards clinical. Our board of trustees here and our administration was amazing. They helped us to be able to get our capstone students into clinical and allow them to continue in so that they could finish and graduate on time. Our nursing instructors are phenomenal. They are just top notch. We had nursing instructors that came in because we had some students that still couldn't meet the outcomes that we needed yet for clinical and lab. And they spent their summer they get paid all year because they're on a 9-month contract, but they spent their summer without pay coming in extra to get these students through. And so I don't know, it's been a challenge, but it has been amazing to watch as this whole group comes together as a whole to try to get these students through. And then, I think it's been tough seeing the nurses in the workforce. They are just overwhelmed. They are all in mandatory overtime. And again, they're willing to pick up our students and precept them and help them so that they can come in and continue to carry the torch. And so as challenging as it has been, I have seen so many positive things that have come out of it that I'm super grateful for. I'm proud of the team that we have here at CEI. I'm proud of the nurses that we have in the field, the educator, that are willing to educate these students, the administrations of our clinical partners for really helping us to get these students through and help them to be successful because they're needed.
Well, and I was just thinking about what you said there. We went through and created a new student conduct policy based on some other policies, some other community colleges, and we had a team, and some of the key people to that team, key leaders of that team were you and some of your nursing faculty members, notably Heather. And I commend you guys, because you gals and guys, for all the things that you did, because you did all the regular things that administrators are doing on top of really having to create a new narrative and a new story and a new working environment for your students. And so that's very commendable.
Well, and that's the one thing you'll see. I think it's probably a theme across CEI, but I can speak to my team here in the nursing department. They will always do whatever's best for the students. And sometimes the students don't realize it's what's best for them, right? But they will. They'll put however many hours. They work so hard to try to help these students be successful. And I think it really pays off. And that's part of why we have the connections in the community with our clinical partners that we do, is because we have an amazing team here, and every single one of our faculty and our admin, Becca, we couldn't do it without them. So it is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So switching gears, how can an aspiring nurse student begin to prepare him or herself for the rigor of the program before they're accepted?
I don't know what to say to this one, because all of these students, when they come in, it is a shock. They're top-notch students. They're coming in. This is a competitive program. They have come in working super hard, getting really good grades in their prereq classes, and they get into nursing and they're like, I don't know what is happening, and I don't know how to do this. And I don't know how to prepare them for that, besides tell them, like the hardest class you took in your prereq, like compound that by 10, and maybe we're almost there. And it's not that we're trying to pick on students, but they have big shoes to fill when they go into industry. And our PN program's a 9-month program. The RN program is a 2-year program. Our bridge program's a 9 months to a year program. It's a short period of time that they have to learn a lot of content to be able to appropriately care for these patients and make the decisions that they need. So it is tough. It's very rigorous. I don't know what to tell them besides just believe us when we say it is rigorous, it is tough, and plan on it being a lot harder, than what you're anticipating. And then maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. Maybe it won't be quite as hard as you thought. But traditionally, we hear a lot of students that come in and they're like, man, this is so much harder than what my prerequisites were.
It's funny because they have that rule, 1 hour of class time equals 2 hours of studying. But there have been times in my life, and I'm not even a healthcare student, right? There have been times in my life when it's been 1 to 8, like it really just depends on what you're studying and what you're preparing for and what you're strong at and what you need to learn and beef up on. And I know it's a competitive program, as are all nursing programs. So yeah, that's some really good advice. Let's see, what advice do you have for any student beyond nursing if they're struggling to keep up in their programs?
I think it's important to reach out to their instructors. Reach out to their instructors because oftentimes there are resources that we have. I have my instructors, we talk to all of them about trying to reach out to students that we see struggling early on. I think CEI has the early warning system, too, because if we're seeing students that are struggling, we try to reach out to them. But just as important, I think maybe even more important is those students that are reaching out to us saying, hey, I realize I'm struggling. Is there anything, do you have any resources? Like Mike talked about again in his announcement, we have the Center for New Directions. We have disability services. There are so many things. We have a tutoring center. Sometimes that gets a little bit tricky for our nursing students. We don't always have nursing classes for tutoring, but this semester we do have some faculty that are working towards tutoring. So when we have enough workload that we can do that, we try to do that as well. But don't give up, work with your instructors, put the work in, put the time in. I always remember like my mom, and this came from my grandpa, anything that's worth doing is hard, and it will be hard and it will be challenging. And by the time, you get done and you look back, like my associate's degree for my nursing degree was the hardest thing I ever did. And then I went back and got my bachelor's and I went back and got my master's. And it's not that they weren't challenging, but they didn't challenge me to the same level of my associate's degree. But I am so grateful that I pushed through and I made it through. There were times that I thought, I don't know that this is worth it. And so that's probably what I tell all students, things are tough, and going through school with a pandemic on top of all of it, it is tough, but there are people that are willing to help you, that want to see you be successful, and they can help you to get those resources as long as you're willing to put the work in.
Yeah. Now, for those that might not know, maybe you can help elaborate. So a nursing program, the practical piece is really in an associate's degree. The bachelor's is more documentation and is more theory. But the actual nursing training, if I'm not mistaken, is in an associate's degree. Is that right?
Well, so yes, there's still a lot of theory that takes place in the associate degree. Oftentimes the bachelor's degree is geared towards advanced assessments, leadership type stuff. We have, I think in the state of Idaho, like I might be misspeaking, 80-something%, I think they said, of nurses typically go on to get their bachelor's degree. A lot of the facilities, if they want to do any kind of leadership, want them to at least have their bachelor's. And if they want to be any kind of management or anything like that, have their master's. But with a master's, you can work at the bedside, or you can be in education, or you can be in administration. And so each step is a little bit different, but they still are learning a lot of theory in the associate's degree program as well. A lot of hands-on, most of their hands-on stuff will come in the associate degree, and then in the bachelor's degree, there will be more building upon, and then master's, again, building upon those things that they learned in their associate's degree.
Okay, good. Well, the next question on my list, I actually rephrased and worded earlier. It was about COVID, so I think we're good there. But who is a nurse that you admire and why?
Oh, I probably could look at any nurse and give you a reason why I admire them. I've learned so much from every nurse that I've come in contact with, but there's probably two that I'll focus on. So my mom, number one, she has been an example to me from the time I was a little girl. I remember, we'd have neighbors that maybe needed an injection, or she did a lot of everything, but spent some time in OB and NICU. Maybe they were struggling with nursing their baby, and she'd take all of her supplies over and go help them. There was never a day off or a time off or something that she wasn't willing to. I remember floating Warm River as a young adult, and a high school or college kid got hypothermia, and they're deflating the raft and trying to do everything they can till EMS got there, and so just watching her, I really look up to her and her ability to just care for anybody around her. And then the other one, I think it has to be Kathleen Nelson. She was the director before me. She is such a forward thinker and has been instrumental to several changes that have taken place in nursing in our area, but specifically in our nursing program. We recently changed, I think we graduated our first cohort with our new preceptorship model last semester. And it was one where we kept hearing the same things over and over. Everybody's struggling with this education to practice gap, and we all kept trying to do the same thing, and it wasn't working. And she came up with the idea of doing a preceptorship model. So our students now in the RN program in their final semester, they go into the clinical setting and they work alongside a nurse for the entire semester. It's a 10-credit course. And we have had such good feedback from our students, from our clinical partners, from the community, helping to kind of close that gap. And I just, like, everything that she did, she would always think outside the wheelhouse. How can I make this better? How can I how can I change this? Because the same thing, you know, isn't working. And the other piece that I really admired with her is, or do admire with her, is her ability to relate to people. Like, no matter what was happening, you know, she just would make you feel like you were the only one. Even if you were in trouble for something, she would just make you like it wasn't a big deal. We'd work through it. We'd figure it out and move forward. You could see that caring effect in everything that she does. So
sure. Yeah, those I had wondered what you would answer, and I thought that you might answer that way as well. Kathleen was really a great asset for this community and for College of Eastern Idaho, and for a great legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess that leads me to my last question. What closing words of wisdom do you have for our students?
It kind of goes, I probably, you know, if it's worth it, it's going to be hard, right? And then, I don't know, kind of my philosophy with everything is a job worth doing is worth doing right and worth doing well. So as you guys are committing to school, as you're committing to going to college, jump in with both feet, you know, work hard, do your best, be involved, take advantage of the resources and the activities and the different things that they have available. And again, just work hard. If you work hard, you know, it's going to pay off for years to come. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jodene. That's some really great advice. Just a reminder to students, there's still time if you want to take Block B classes. Work hard. There's lots of resources. You can, if you have any questions, you can see those numbers down there. There's a student.concern@cei.edu, or call our number. Again, we also have the Falcon chat that's on our website and in the social media platforms. Anyway, students, we hope you have a great week. We hope you have a great month. We'll be here again next month on Falcon Features. We will have a guest from the Student Affairs Division. So we will see you the first Monday of November. And thanks so much to my special guest, Nursing Administrator, Director of Nursing Program, Jodene Trimble. So thank you so much, Jodene, for coming and answering our questions.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope you guys all have a great day.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, you too. And I see no more questions or comments, so I think we're going to call it. Thank you so much.